takes half an hour.
Okay.
Maybe 20 minutes.
So I don't.
Okay, welcome to this episode of Lab Time, this small little seminar. And Happy New Year, everybody. And welcome at home, the one that sees it. Today I'm gonna walk you through Shifter that came out in 11.1. So everybody that has 11 plus can use this as well. Otherwise it was called Frequency Shifter. So now it has like 3 modes instead. Does anybody have used it before that's in here? Yep. Yep. Was it cool? It's pitch shifting.
I feel like other pitch shifters are better.
Yeah.
For just
Pitch shifting, yes. Okay, so for other pitch shifters, they're better than this. But the reason why this is not per se pitch shifting. It is more of like abstract pitch shifting. So what we can do about it is that the difference between this pitch shift and frequency shift is that frequency shifting is non-musical. That means that if I have this scope here, and if we have 2 tones, you can see now it starts to do flickering stuff. If we go more, you can see it gets more harmonics by doing this. And now it's a whole octave. And if you hold shift, you can go an octave down. But if you can see here, if we take 2 and we open up one at a time, the length between is musically. So we could right now play kind of chords with it. If we use the frequency shifter, now you can see something went away. I'll explain that later. But now, if we take the same thing and we go upwards, look, they start to kind of move together. That's because they don't have this musicality. It's cool for other stuff. It's cool for risers, all that stuff. But now I stop because it will go a lot higher than this. And you can see if we go down, they would just get a lot further. That's the difference between pitch and frequency. Then we have the last one, we'll get into that later. So that's the whole idea with this, is these 2 different ones that really do different stuff. I like the pitch shifter because you can do really cool stuff with it. So right now, you can see we have fine tune. It's just fine tuning. So if you need to tune it to something, you can still fine tune it. The cool thing is the white thing. What happens with the white thing is it will still pitch it. It's not because it's doing stereo. It's doing stereo as well, but it's also pitching in sense. So if you listen to this and we try and move this, this is where this button here is the whole thing that makes this machine really cool. Because look at the spectrogram when I fire up the sound and we start. So you can see the stereo picture here just moves, but it still pitches. So we can, but you can find a sweet spot. So let's say if we go really deep, we can get these, and then you can kind of find the spot for this wobbly sound. And that's just with the spread. So if we double click, it will go back. Then we have this window down here. And this window, you can see it here, you can see it as grains. It will read the sound in grains, And this is the window of how many grains it's kind of reading. So it's kind of like you could do it if, let's jump over to this one. Just some percussive stuff, I think. And we can, whoop, I did something with this. And we don't need this one. But try and listen when we increase these milliseconds. It will do kind of this rhythmical stuff with it, because it kind of stretches the grains it's reading. So right now you can see it's full, dry and wet. Now could you hear it kind of it kind of moved it. So what if we take this down? We can have these small little, and then we can fine tune it afterwards. We can go the other way. And if we spread it, then so that's what the window does. Then we have this one. It's kind of like a filter, but it's only filtering the delayed part. So we can have that, and then so it's not that crazy when you're doing it, or you can start to say where does this sound really cool. One thing to mention is this does not work in live mode. So if you're playing something and you use this, then it's kind of delayed a lot, like it has latency, a lot of latency. So what I do is I record and then clip it in as a sound thing when I do this. Let's go to some vocals and hear this.
Just vibing out.
So this machine here is really cool with small increments. So let's just take the wide again and let's try and listen to this vocal.
Just vibing out. Vibing.
We can overdo it. So we have it, and then you kind of overdo it and draw it back until, because it will surprise you where it sounds good.
Just vibing out. Vibing. Vibing.
About 20, 18. And then we can do kind of the mouse thing. And the pitch shifter, as you said, is maybe not the best pitch shifter, but it's in a creative way the best pitch shifter. Because you can do, let's say if we do this normally.
Just
Sounds like that. We could do this again. We can make this Doppler. And then we can dial in how much we would have this. But let's try and pitch it up just 1 cent. Like that. And then set the delay for it. Because if we have this on 0, this on 0, this normally here, and put on the delay. Now we just have a delay.
Just vibing.
Right? Like that. But let's just take this on 1. Because now something happens to the delay. Every delay would go 1 semitone upwards, because we go upwards this time. It goes downwards if we go from 0 to -1. Okay? So now if we have the delay.
Just vibing.
Let's try and go a lot further.
Just vibing.
That's cool, but let's do it with the spread instead of the one that sounds cool. Cool.
Just vibing.
Like that.
Vibing.
it will still go upwards, but tiny bit. So we have this cool effect to do that. Let's have this on 0 and take the delay off again. That's the delay part. It's just a regular delay, but it has this pitch shifting thing it can do. So it's really cool on drums as well, on other kinds of where you can, it's really cool to make rises of that, like upwards risers and downwards downfalls and stuff. Then we have a regular, well, not regular LFO. So let's just try this on a piano. Let's take the chords off. Have this here. I just made this weird chord. So now I'll have this have a kind of a pitch wobble. I'll do it really much so I can fine tune where the rate should be. So now you have this kind of tape style, old-fashioned piano that is actually sounding really cool. And if we then put the delay on with a little bit, so now I have this really nice piano that has this really distinct sound of something you almost can't find the sound. So this can just be applied to electric pianos, whatever. It will still sound really cool. If we have this doing on here, and then have, that's really deep. Then if we take do the same, just with a sine wave, you can see we have different stuff that's like rectangular, sample and hold. We have these kind of different one that we normally see in the LFO. Now it pretty much has this, but this is, there's some cool things in here. But we can then alternate it. Let's just take the amount full up right now, just so we can see the pattern, because we have this dusty, what's it called? Dusty cycle. So we can change how it looks. Even though it's a sine wave, we can start to kind of alter it in different ways. So we can have this, right? Cool. So that's just how we can bend the wave file. Then we have something, you know, phasing is, that's, we all know. The cool thing is if we have this spin, because it's the same as the phase, but the phase, if we can shift it, so it's like this, it's the same amount all the way. If we have spinning and we open that, the first point here would start the same place, but then get more and more and more the more we increase. So you can see it starts the same place, so then it got this spinning effect. So we almost make polyrhythms with it. And then so just a sine wave with maybe some delay and a little bit of reverb. We can make cool sounds out of nothing with this machine. We have a little bit more to cover, but isn't it cool? Right? Like from this, I think actually if you know how to use it in a creative way, let's just say, okay, we want to make a riser out of, let's take this one and whatever, let's make something like this. So we get something like this. Let's just start with this. That's our start sound. Then the amount would we go full up, take the spin down, and let's take saw ramp up and make, then we can see how we'll start having this pitch going up, right? Then we could automate this, have the delay on it. Okay, go down here. And it all depends, of course, how you would draw how it would, or we could just say, okay, I want it downwards. We'll go downwards, right? So it's really cool for this riser stuff, depending on what you feed it as well. So you can have your regular sound and just start to do stuff you normally wouldn't do without sound design and stuff. So it's really, really cool to make these risers and stuff. So the next thing, we'll go over to the vocal again, is this here is a envelope follower. Do you know how an envelope follower works? Nope, nope. That's fortunately, because now I can actually show you. So we have an envelope follower here. So what happens is, when it gets an audio signal, you have a sound wave. And the sound wave has peaks and stuff. The top peaks of these have a signal that goes. It would look like something like this.
Just
So now you can see where it kind of follows the sample. So if this has a power meter, this would go up with this. That's called an envelope follower. So this one has built an envelope follower inside it. So what happens is that if we turn this on, it will, the amount here is 1 semitone. So be careful with this, because and it will sound awful. it will fast go to be a mouse voice, but it will be a mouse voice where it has to be, where kind of it makes sense, because now it's dynamic instead of full on every time. So if we take the attack, just listen to it where the normal is 6 milliseconds and 200 milliseconds for release. And let's just take the amount up while we're hearing it. This one, we don't need to look at it more. It was just an example, so you know what it is.
Just vibing out, vibing.
And if we take the attack down and the release down,
just vibing out.
Now it gets this kind of wobbly after how her voice is. But if we dial it kind of in, and let's try and go a little bit more. Just for an example, but you can make this with an instrument. You can make this pitch. If you have like a bass, you could pitch it with this over how it would sound. So that's also pretty cool. Let's go back to our percussion, because the last thing is the ring modulator. And it's, for me, it's an easy way to put ring modulation on a sound without sound design as well. But I rarely use this because I don't know if the sound is that good. Let's just try and listen to it here. So you can get sound design out of samples. And you have a drive, so you can kind of drive the... Still have delay. Yeah, but then it starts to... So it makes it more kind of hard and grungy the sound, but it kind of takes all the dynamic from the sound as well. But in a bass, like let's try and use it on a bass note. Whoops. I'll just turn this down. Now it sounds like a phone. Hello? Yeah, but the cool thing is if you have it here and we hear that when we went down here, it went deep, but then we go over the threshold and go the next kind of sample, it will turn it down though. And then drive it. is just a sine wave. So now we actually have texture in the sound as well. And then we can, where the wobble is. So let's keep that here, because the last thing I want to show you, yeah, we have the mix, of course, you know that. But we can open this little one and we can say MIDI. And then we go for piano. I have an up here. So now, did I do this correct? Why is this not playing? Oh, sorry. Here we go. And then this one. That was why. Thank you. Cool. But now you can hear if we take it off, we have this. Let's have it on pitch. Go upwards. So like here. Just have a steady tone, and now we can have this. We could have it on.
Just vibing.
And now it gets bassy.
Vibing.
But let's do it in small increments. Again, small increments. It's still the vocal.
Just vibing.
Still spacey though, but we have pitch glide on it. Yep, yep.
Just
And that was it. Do you have any questions? Nope.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yep.
When you played the bass,
Yes.
was it still musical in terms of the MIDI? Can you play a scale and it sounds like the same scale?
Yes.
Does it mess
When
with
it's on
the-
pitch, then you can.
Well, I mean with the ring shifter.
No,
Or does it
no,
like-
no.
it
Then
just-
it kind of, but you can mix it. So you can still play, but the ring would still have this kind of one tone-ish.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you created the upwards pitch delay.
Like the riser stuff.
on
Yes.
the vocal,
Yeah. Yeah.
could you do it some way to like make it harmonize or like?
Not in this one. Then you have to use the auto shifter in 12.
Maybe you could like double. The
Yes. Yes. So then, like, he asked if I could kind of make this upwards stuff with the vocal, and not really. But it's still, if you mix it in, it's, yeah. And well, we can try and take the vocal here, and let's just do the, like, this is what you mean, right? Yeah. And then, but just on the vocals. Yeah. So if we do this.
Just vibing.
I don't know if it's pretty though. It's something. It's something. Yeah. But this is really cool, when it goes down and up again. Cool. Yeah, more questions? Yes.
To like widen it a bit and like make two. Like
Yeah, you're kind of doubling. As I showed you, it makes this spread, but it's also tuning in cents
Yeah,
on the sides.
yeah. That was because it does the like spreading of the frequencies, or like detuning it. Does it like affect the phase, or will it just be
Of the sound?
Yeah.
Yes,
So the phase is
it depends on the sound. So you can have phase cancellation in some places. Yes, you can. But it depends on the sound. If it's on bass, you wouldn't hear it. It would be more of a wobble bass. But of course, there will be some phase cancellation in there. but nothing that matters. You know, it would still be rhythmical stuff. Yeah, you would lose some part somewhere, but nothing that would ruin it. It's kind of the effect on it. So it would be fine. I wouldn't concentrate on a phasing issue with this. Yeah. Yes?
The spread, isn't it kind of just the same as a chorus? Or
Yeah, it doubles the sound and then spreads it, but it's tuning it as well.
and chorus is only
It's just spreading and doubling. Then it's not tuning.
okay, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that's the difference with this. Otherwise, yes, it is. But the chorus one, you can have a lot more voices and you can do a lot more stuff with it. Yeah. So this is just a more creative instrument for, or effect for, I would use it for sound design. Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I would just say thank you for this little small seminar and see you next Wednesday. You're free to come here and say hi to me. So, or get feedback or whatever, drink coffee, have a blast.